Hello, hello. This is Christina Barton. You're watching Black Tea News. Hello, welcome to Black Tea News. I'm your host, Christina Barton. Today we're going to be talking about some updates in the OceanGate Titan story. There's a missing little submarine of this crew that went down to see footage, not footage, I'm sorry, but like the Titanic where it sunk and other things like that. So they cannot be found. So this is a story that's been going on. It kind of taken the world by storm past couple days. And it's well, by this time they really shouldn't have air. But it looks like there was some debris found, and it's being reported, at least by the post millennial, some other places, that there is some confirmation that this debris perhaps belongs to the ship. So it's either they've suffocated, or maybe there was some kind of explosion and it was quick and painless, but or we assume, I don't know. But what a horrible sort of um situation this is. If you go on social media, though, too many people are um having a bit of fun with this. And then there's some disturbing conversations about, I don't know, attitudes about class warfare. I'm like, these people are human. There's a father and son in there. People are losing family. I wouldn't have done it. I think I definitely know people who probably would have done something that risky if they had, like $250,000 to just kind of blow on adventures. So it is a bit disturbing, but yeah, this story has kind of been taking the world by storm. But anyway, we'll be talking about that. Also, Samuel L. Jackson, I mentioned this yesterday, but the Bounding into Comics is reporting, Samuel L. Jackson talked about his co-star Brie Larson, who plays Captain Marvel in the Marvels movie that's coming out, and Captain Marvel. And she apparently was almost broken by the election. So we'll be talking about that. And I don't think Samuel Jackson's words to defend his co-star is helping his co-star at all, but perhaps it makes them feel better. And also, we'll be talking about some of this committee that Riley Gaines went to go testify in front of the Senate regarding like female sports, and the Democratic witness was so terrible. So I'm going to show at least one of the clips from that. They're really circulating online, so I'm glad to see that. So anyway, before we jump into it, I want to encourage you guys to go to blackteens.com, check out different content on my website, different videos, articles, etc. Check out different merch that we have at the store, like the "I'm not the victim you're looking for, be better, not bitter." I do have a article that I just dropped about Juneteenth, some of the drama surrounding it, and I think we talked a little bit about it actually on Juneteenth. But some conservatives are pushing back against Juneteenth, like Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens called it ghetto. But I understand where they're coming from, and I don't disagree with that. Obviously, there was some wokeness behind Juneteenth. Because there are other better days to celebrate emancipation, like the day the Emancipation Proclamation was signed or went into effect, or how about when the 13th Amendment was ratified, or how about when we actually didn't have any more slaves. And people push back on me for just pointing out that Juneteenth isn't the literal day that slavery ended in the United States, and said I was trying to ruin a black holiday, called me a coon and other things. And I'm like, that is so, it's so dramatic. So um there's definitely a lot of politics surrounding it. So I think there's some um better ways to talk about these things and have these conversations. So anyway, that's a new article on my website. These you guys can check out. And if you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation at blackteens.com/donate, cost stream, where my website, all that good stuff. So if you can support in that way, God bless you very much. Appreciate it. I want to thank you guys for watching live. Those who are watching on the playback. I'm not streaming on my normal platforms or my normal YouTube channel because they were triggered by one of my pro-life of videos, an interview I had with Deb Tilden, but don't worry, you can go watch that interview on Facebook or you can go watch it on Rumble. And she told her story. She had abortion years ago, and it had different, psychological, mental, spiritual sort of effects on her. And she talked about how she, realized that and recovered from that. But she's also the founder of Smart Women's Network. I mean, Smart Women's Healthcare, and she wants to inform women of the possible risks, when they have an abortion. And so YouTube is enacting a similar policy what they did with COVID, where if you say something against the World Health Organization, that they are just going to take it off. And so they gave me a strike. So I haven't been able to post on my main YouTube account, which is where most of you people watch. So I'm still, plugging along, well, not plugging along, chugging along, and streaming. And I'll post some clips and stuff back on that other page. I guess Monday when I can post there. But we're gonna keep posting pro life content and go from there. We're gonna continue doing it. So thank you guys for again watching and just giving you a little update on the situation. But yeah, you can totally go watch that video on Rumble, that interview on Rumble. I posted on Rumble if you have not seen it. It was a very interesting discussion. It was a very important discussion, and women deserve to have informed consent and to be able to discuss this topic. Americans deserve to be able to discuss this topic without restriction, because many Americans view it as a huge moral wrong. Like, so, can you imagine like other sort of, just historical injustices where if we just weren't allowed to talk about them, to be able to make the change. So I don't think they're in the right side of history here, but especially trying to censor the topic in that sort of way. But we'll keep, informing people and talking about these things and debating them. And they didn't say what went against who, by the way. It was very, they said what rule I broke, but they didn't say how I broke it, etc. And but anyway, we'll continue progressing. But if you want to support, please go ahead and go to blacktnews.com/donate, because we're going to keep doing what we do. Okay, I do not have a meme or anything for you guys today, so I'm going to go ahead and jump right into the content. So, as I said at the very beginning, there's this huge story about this little submarine, this little exploration submarine, really a tourist attraction, that goes to see like the wreckage of the Titanic. So you get these rich people, billionaires, who will, pay to go down and see that stuff. So I mean, you got a lot of money to blow to on stuff like that. Sometimes when you're really rich, the price of tag of things kind of distort your good sense, because it's a lot of money, so it must be a cool hip thing. There's the scene in like I think it's Iron Man 2 when Pepper is talking about something in particular, and she's like, "It's overpriced." And then it seemed like he didn't want it at first, and then she said it was overpriced, and he's like, "I want it, I need it, I gotta have it," or something. And she just kind of rolled her eyes. I can't remember if it's Iron Man 1 or Iron Man 2. And so that's how some really, 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 really rich people are. So these people got money to blow. You gotta spend like $250,000 to go on this, exploration. And they lost it. They couldn't find it. And so people have been engaged in this like rescue mission. Like, are they going to find it? Are the Coast Guard going to find them? And they're running out of oxygen at this point. They don't believe they should have any oxygen left. But it looks like there was some debris that they found that confirms that this is probably um, the ship that was been lost. So this is from the Post Millennial, and it's a little ranky danky kind of ship. I just can't imagine, even if you paid the money for the ticket, you show up and you're like, oh yeah, let's totally do this and go down there. Now, again, I said it's, to me, I'm pretty sure I know people if they had that kind of money to blow, they might be like, oh, that sounds like a cool adventure. Let me risk my life like that. I couldn't see myself doing that. But these people have done so. It has been revealed that the debris found in the search area for the missing Titanic uh, vessel has 5 passengers Titan, including the landing frame of the rear of the vessel. Sky News has revealed that is he is in a WhatsApp group that is connected to those on the ships looking for the vessel, and those on the ships are saying that the filled was a landing frame and the rear cover of the submersible. So again, this is very unconventional submarine. That rear cover is at is that point at the end of it, and landing frame is a little frame that seems to sit on, and that's how it gets docked in the landing bit. So that confirms it's a submersible. On Thursday, the U.S. Coast Guard confirmed that the debris field has been found on the search area. Submersible has been traveling to see the Titanic wreckage, which lies 12,500 feet below the surface, around 400 miles off the coast of Newfoundland, Canada. A debris field was discovered within the search area by a ROV near the Titanic. Experts within the Unified Command are evaluating the information, U.S. Coast Guard Northeast wrote on Twitter. And I did see the tweet. Someone said that, hey, it was still kind of being debated, but this was just kind of updated. They only had it's, they lost contact on Sunday. It had around 96 hours of oxygen supply. And of course, it's Thursday. It's inside the 5-person submersible. There's a French Titanic expert, Paul Henry Arg Nargil, don't sorry, butcher that name. OceanGate CEO Stockton Rush, British billionaire Hamish Harding, Pakistani businessman Sadasha Daywood, and his 19-year-old son. So you have a father and a son who are on here, and that's about it with the debris story. But yeah, the 5 of them have been missing. And if you go on social media, especially TikTok, there's some pretty disrespectful stuff on there. I saw one guy talking about how it was like a video, like fake crying or something, and being like not like it was a scene from The Office, and with Dwight, and they're like, "This is our reaction when we found out that they're billionaires." I'm like, so you guys don't care just because they're billionaires that they're dying and that there's a father and son and people are missing family and friends? Like you can have the attitude like, I would have never did that. That was dumb. Like, why did you go down, there? And there's a lot of Titanic memes, of course, because of what they were doing. Matt Walsh was criticizing people because he's like, why are we like demonizing people and their sense of exploration? Though I saw Ben Shapiro push back on it, and he said, we've already explored the Titanic. Like, this is just kind of like a tourist vanity sort of thing. Yeah, someone in the comments said they're human beings. Yeah, they're human beings. They have families, and it's really rough to miss a. You got a father and a son down there, and but it does kind of teach a lesson, though. I mean, you got all the money in the world, and in some situations, there's nothing that will be able to save you in particular situations. So you got to always make sure that your affairs are in order, your heart's in the right place, spiritually that you're in the right place, because you never know when you may meet your maker. I guess there's an elevated chance of that when you go down to the depths of the ocean in a rinky-dink submarine. Um, well, it's either they have suffocated, or either it's exploded at this point. It looks like they probably were in some kind of wreckage, and that they, unless there's some kind of super uber miracle, or but it looks like that they have met a tragic end um in this story. But it's, like I said, it's been a pretty riveting story. A lot of people are um breathlessly waiting different updates to see what happens. But I wasn't it could have been like the greatest rescue story of all time, but it doesn't look like we're getting there for them. So again, they are human beings. I really don't like the sort of class warfare kind of conversations that people are having. Like, they really don't care because these rich people have died. Again, I know people who probably, if they had money, that they probably would. I don't know a lot of people. I can at least think of one or two that if they had that kind of money to blow and be like, oh, that sounds cool, let me do that. because so sometimes you hear of a friend who went like in the woods or something by themselves or hiking alone, or it's like or didn't tell nobody. It's like the world's not safe, right? The world's not safe. So I just there's plenty of people that if they had money and were finding trying to find interesting ways to spend it, that they'd do kind of daredevilish sort of things. And if I mean, if there's people who would jump out of planes or whatever, it's not crazy that maybe somebody who's interested in the Titanic would go down in a little submarine to do something like that. So, people don't always make the wisest decisions, but they do take their have the agency to take their lives in their own hands. But it doesn't make it any less of a tragedy for their families and their friends, and they're still human beings. So if you're making jokes, I know people can have a dark sense of humor, but guys, it is so soon. It's literally breaking news. So, and if you feel any animosity or you particularly don't care because they are rich people, that you're not a good person just because you're poor. You're not a good person just because you're poor, and people shouldn't. Maybe people feel like they are not cared about because they are poor. So why should they care about rich people just because they are rich or whatnot? But there's no reason for you to be bitter and weird about this kind of stuff. So that's about all I got to say about it right now. I haven't really talked about it. I haven't been. I mean, I guess I've been seeing the coverage or people talk about it and stuff. I haven't been like as engrossed in it, but it looks like they're already at a tragic end. And if there's some kind of update, I'll let you guys know. Moving on, there was a committee we mentioned the other day. Riley Gaines. I did have an interview with Riley Gaines on YouTube. If you have not watched that, and that's on my main YouTube channel, you should go ahead and check it out. She talked about her time. Riley Gaines is a swimmer, and she had to swim against William slash Leah Thomas, and she's the one who actually tied with Leah Thomas, and they told her that he had to have the photo and go home with the trophy and that they would send her one. So after that experience, she's like, I'm done being quiet. I'm going to speak up and stuff. So she's been around a lot. She came to Michigan for an event, and that's where I met her and got to have an interview with her. But I'm really glad that she's speaking out and other women are speaking out. By the way, side note, Daily Wire, in their movie What Is a Woman, they had a team member of Thomas speak, and they like cloaked her, like hid her voice and did some lighting stuff, which I don't think the lighting was that good to kind of hide her identity. But she decided to come out, and so she actually had an interview with Matt Walsh about the experience. I haven't watched it yet, so I just thought about it while I'm talking to you guys, so I have to go back and watch it. But she decided to come out and just talk about her experience, so I'm sure there's more to hear. But the sort of things that the girls who had to compete with him had to go through was just awful, and how the girls were ba- basically abused and bullied by the sports organization, is just really disgusting. And I don't understand why in this battle of men and women, or trans women and women, why women are the ones who are victimized and are put on the back burner. To me, that's what just really doesn't make any sense to me. Um Ethically, common sense wise, it doesn't it just doesn't make sense to me. But she got to testify before the Senate regarding women's sports. And so the Democrat witness had some interesting things to say throughout the whole, and she was questioned like, what is a I don't know if they asked what is, they probably did, but they asked like what kind of gender, how many genders are there. And so she said it's complicated, and gender is about expression. And she's like, well, there's a time that women couldn't wear pants. And I'm just looking at her thinking, ma'am, you're wearing women's pants right now. There's a difference between like, and men did used to wear pants, by the way. um but men and women are different. Our bodies are different. So what she ain't this woman wasn't shopping at Big and Tall, you know? She got her suit from where other women will go and get their suit. She's not in a man's suit. And there's an episode of The Office where Michael Scott is wearing a he has a suit, and they all realize that he's in a woman's suit, and then he's embarrassed because he didn't realize, and he's just like, no, it's Italian or something like that. I don't remember which country he tried to say it was from, but they're all laughing and they're like, does it have pockets? And so his pants didn't have pockets, which a lot of women's pants, like suit pants, don't have pockets, which I didn't really realize until I started working at Micro Center, and I bought a bunch of pants. And then they're like, where are you going to put your commission stickers? And I was like, because my pants that I bought didn't have pockets on them. So, or if they were pockets, wasn't really pockets, but they're like decorative lines to kind of look like pockets, but they're not really pockets. So, yeah, men and women's clothing are different, and especially because of our bodies are different. So, um, yeah, even trying to use yeah, women weren't supposed to wear pants. Well, you're wearing women's pants, ma'am. You're wearing women's pants. There's a difference between men and women, and it's okay to say that. It's so egregious that they can't just admit it out loud and just deal with that reality. But here's a really interesting clip where they're talking about women's sports, and John Kennedy is questioning her, and she just tries to bring up the worst possible example, and Riley Gaines chimes in and explains why it's the worst possible example, and then I'll give another reason why it's the worst possible example.
Women and some that are shorter. You don't believe that a biological male has a physical advantage in sports over a biological female?
Not as a definitive statement.
Give me an example. Well, no, I don't think. How many female members of the NBA do you see?
Well, I can say that, there's been this news article about men that think that they could beat Serena Williams in tennis, right? That they think that they could actually score a point on her. And it's just not the case. She is stronger than that.
What's your experience, Ben? Male, female?
Both Serena and Venus lost to the 203rd ranked male tennis player, which they're phenoms for women. My experience, my husband, he swam at University of Kentucky as well. In terms of accolades and in terms of national ranking, I was a much better swimmer than him. He could kick my butt any day of the week without trying.
So, yeah, the sisters got their butts handed to them, and this is like a conversation that's been going on for a while that they know that they can't really win against men. Now, you might get a situation where a woman can beat a man who's not skilled in playing the game, but they're just stronger, they're bigger, whatever. I hate it. Like in gym class, like I was on the volleyball team 7th and 8th grade. One time we were playing volleyball in gym class, and it was, I don't know, like a field day, or I don't know, whatever, for whatever reason, the boys and the girls were playing together, and the boys and the girls decided to play against each other. I don't know why that happened, but in volleyball, and they didn't have the same skill set that I had, or like accustomed with the rules and how you do or don't hit it, but they didn't really care. They just wanted, they hit the ground. They felt like they got a point, and they could spike it and they could, do all kinds of things with their superior strength. And it brings me no joy to admit that men are just naturally stronger than women. It's just a reality. It's just a reality. So even though, I was the, actual volleyball player and they weren't, they still could kill us because they're dudes. Like, is there maybe a dude I could play volleyball better than? Sure. And I'm not a professional player, but just on average, just because you find an exception, it doesn't disprove the rule. And it's okay to admit the rule exists. Like, that's why men and women have different sports. But the person they're grilling isn't just like some random person. It's a human rights campaign president, Kelly Robinson. So it's not like they got some kind of rando person off the street. They got someone who's a, should be professionally able to handle themselves in this kind of situation. And it is a Democrat witness that they decided to bring, and just got schooled because they just can't bear to answer normal questions about this stuff because they're so stuck on their ideology. The brilliance of Matt Walsh's documentary, What is a Woman, is that he just asks like normal questions to qualified people who should be able to answer them. He talked to people who prescribe puberty blockers and do sex surgeries, and who professors and so on, and just asked what is a woman, and they weren't able to do so. They weren't able to answer because their ideology just warped their brains to a point where they just could not allow themselves to give a straight answer for it, which is really insane to me. And it's so funny, like you'll go online and talk to people and you'll say like a human a woman is adult human female. Women have XY chromosomes, and yes, you can have abnormalities or whatever, but they have they uh of a JJ and all the stuff or whatever, and they'll say, well, what about different issues that they could have? Or yes, there are things that can happen, or some kind of abnormalities, but the exceptions don't disprove the rule, and you're still one way or another um a male or female. One way or another, you're still a male or a female. But they just don't care, and they just can't admit that, and they'll say like, you and your basic high school biology. I'm like, I'm sorry I didn't have an indoctrination class in college. Like, I'm like, you're obviously more indoctrinated than I am. That doesn't mean that you're saying something that's true. It's that you I can fully admit that someone has gotten to your brain, or you're trusting in the authority of someone who has warped their brain on this topic, but that doesn't make what you say true at all, in the least bit. So many people want to appeal to authority when someone is saying something that they like, but the question is it truly true? So here's a clip of Serena talking about Andy Murray, um and them actually playing against each other, and she doesn't really want to play dude because she knows that she's gonna lose.
Well, well, who would it be?
Well, I don't know. Let's say you
Okay.
would be the.
I was hoping you'd say.
All right, feminine side, and me.
And you. Oh. Well, actually, it's funny because Andy Murray, he was been joking about myself and him playing a match, and I'm like, Andy, seriously, like, are you kidding me? Because for me, tennis and men's tennis and women's tennis are completely almost two separate sports. So I'm like, if I were to play Andy Murray, I would lose 6-0, 6-0 in 5 to 6 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, because no, it's true. It's true.
Honestly, really.
It's a completely different sport. The men are a lot faster, and they serve harder, they hit hard. It's just a different game, and I love to play women's tennis, and I only want to play girls because I don't want to be embarrassed. I would not do the tour. I wouldn't do Billie Jean any justice. So Andy, stop it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna let you kill me.
I'm with you in a.
So there's no shame in admitting the truth. There it is, out of someone who's actually plays the game, and can admit that she will lose to men very quickly in a couple minutes. It's a different game. She said it's a totally different game because they're just built different, and they are built different because there's biological differences. And these people know there's biological difference. That's why Leah Thomas wants to swim against girls and not boys. That's what's so stupid about it. Like, oh, we should let trans women play against women. Why? Why? Just because of their gender expression? Doesn't make sense. They're doing physical things. It's physical activity. It's physical activity. So why aren't they with people who are in their biological range? Yeah, I know that after taking like estrogen and hormones or whatever, that Thomas can't compete with the men, but he didn't compete that well with the men in the first place. So him not being able to play with the women, that's upsetting because that's a space that he knows where he can dominate. It's not just about like how they feel. There's a strategy behind it. And you can say, "Oh, that's so cynical. That's so much you have so much malice. You're attributing so much malice." They know that there's a physical difference between men and women. It is obvious. It's especially obvious when he goes in the locker room and takes off his little shorts or speedo or whatever. It's extraordinarily obvious. If what's important is playing, then all these trans women should just play with the men. And if they don't compete, they don't make the team, period. But they don't have to go into the women's team. Women women and men do not have separate sports because of their feelings. That is not how it goes. That is not why. They are different because of the biological differences between men and women, and it is astronomical. It's not you could it is what it is. It's not a matter of fair, whatever. It's just a matter of biology. It's a matter of human history, and so many people just don't want to admit it because of their ideology, but it is what it is. And Kennedy told the witness, like, you're really losing your credibility by just not being able to just be honest and upfront and say it. You're really blowing your credibility, and he's not wrong. And again, that was the beauty of What Is a Woman, not because Matt like came in with all these different studies and was able to just dunk on them with all this like intellectual jargon. He just asked a simple question: what is a woman? And pointing out that a lot of them were giving circular definitions, and that was just kind of it. Like he had a great deadpan kind of face that made things a bit humorous, but the beauty of the documentary was that he had foes that had self-defeated themselves by having such a passion for a failed argument that they are able to thrive so much because people aren't challenging them and haven't challenged them for so long. So Matt pushing back and other people pushing back and asking these questions, like even when you ask like what is a woman online to different people, some of them don't even want to engage, or some of them will still use a circular argument. I'm like, really, dude? And I'm like, you saying that you're a woman because you feel like you're a woman, how is that any different than a child saying, I feel like I'm Spider-Man because I identify as Spider-Man? And with the Spider-Verse movie and all that kind of stuff, that seems pretty legitimate. There's so many different Spider-Man now, right? So how are you how can you be a woman? How is that more legitimate than someone saying that they feel like something else, therefore that they are something else? Either you are or you aren't. Like if socially, if you want to pull a Michael Scott and go wear women's pants, you can do that. They're not built for you. Unless you've like tailored your body to a point where it doesn't look like it's that big of a difference or whatever. There still be like differences. Maybe your hands are abnormally long and or big, and you might have an Adam's apple, or of course, you might have your sticks and berries, unless you took them off or something. And if you got them, you'll tuck or whatnot. But there's a reason why we have men's and women's categories, and people could just get over it. If you want to call yourself a different name and grow out your hair and put on makeup, and live your life as basically a cross dresser, you can do that. But this is basically what you'll be. Um, y- you're regardless of what you do, you cannot turn a man into a woman and vice versa. You can't. Maybe you can get a lot of work done. So you can fool most people. Maybe you can. Still doesn't change the reality of the situation. And the woman sports thing is such an obvious thing. It's such an obvious thing, but people don't care. People were when Pearl was on a panel talking to other feminists, and they brought up sports, and she's like the only professional athlete there. They just kind of rolled their eyes like, oh my gosh, Pearl. And I'm like, she's the only professional athlete here talking about how it's going to mess with women's sports, and they didn't care, and they wanted to disregard her. And one of them, who was disabled by the way, told her, have you tried confidence? the irony. Like confidence obviously can't achieve certain things. It can't give you certain physical advantages or restore certain things. Like you can't just be confident your way into just defeating a man and so on. So but they just had to defend the trans women. Why do they feel like they have to do that over women? I don't understand. I don't understand that for these activists. And then I don't know. I feel like women are so soft on this issue. There's plenty of women who are speaking up, and I'm grateful for it. I'm glad for it. But man, I feel like we got to have a lot of men just stick up and say no. Like you're not going to do this nonsense for and treat my daughter this way. We I don't know. I think we're going to need more men to kind of like take the lead on this. Maybe women are just too kind of too agreeable, too much into the I want to be liked. I don't know. I don't know. You know, I'm not one of those ladies, but there's plenty of people out there. The Democrat witness, she said, you know, I'm a cis woman, blah blah blah. As you know, to go ahead and stand up for, you know, trans women in sports and stuff on female sports. So I it's a shame that women can't get on board with protecting their own stuff, but fathers, protect your daughters. Anyway, let's move on. So, I mentioned yesterday, and we didn't have time to get to this, but Bounding into Comics, sorry, reported on the story about Brie Larson and Samuel L. Jackson, um, said that they bonded after the election because Donald Trump, I guess, being elected nearly broke her. And I'm just going to read a little bit of this article. It goes into a lot of her activism at the bottom. You guys can check it out. But this is Bounding into Comics. Samuel L. Jackson says election of President Donald Trump broke the Marvel's actress Brie Larson. Actor Samuel L. Jackson, who reprises his role as Nick Fury in the upcoming Disney Plus series Secret Invasion, recently revealed that the election of President Donald Trump broke the Marvel's actress Brie Larson. Speaking with Rolling Stone's Marlo Stern, Jackson was asked, "You're going to be in the Marvels with Brie Larson, and you two are good pals. She got so much hate for playing Captain Marvel from the more sexist side of Marvel's fan base. What was it like to see her go through that?" And first, I want to say that Brie Larson's kind of annoying. You know, she's just not as likable as a lot of the other castmates, and she's very vocal about her politics and her feminism and other stuff like that. As I mentioned that Mark Wahlberg the other day was just like, just act like people don't want to care about all your other kind of stuff. Just, you know, act. But a lot of people don't feel like that, and so it is what it is. But you just kind of have to be open to the fact that people will choose to not like you in your politics. So it is what it is. People can now, if you're really talented or whatever, and you're doing great, and people and you're producing great product, people will, you know, some people will overlook that, you know, and go on and continue to support you and what you do, what you're doing. Now, I don't know if you all, I don't have a picture of Miss Marvel pulled up to show you, but Brie Larson, I would not have cast her as Miss Marvel in a million years. Not in a million years. She doesn't look like Miss Marvel, Carol Danvers. And so I've never ever liked Captain Marvel myself. And I she's just so into herself, I guess. Like one time someone asked me like, "Why do you even dislike Captain Marvel?" And I had a list, and they didn't know that I would have a list. And one reason I really didn't like her, and this comic came out forever ago during the Civil War storyline. She sided with Iron Man, and that was when the government was like, everyone has to register. And so a friend of hers just wanted to escape to Canada with her daughter, didn't want to be involved, and she tracked her friend down, and literally there's, you know, her ripping her friend away from her daughter. And I'm just like, why do this? It was so mean. But and again, she didn't want to sign up for the Superhero Registration Act. She didn't want to be involved or whatever, so she was just leaving where to go to a place where they it wouldn't affect them or whatever. So that was a really rough story, but like I remember she was trying to get like she had PR in the comics to like improve her image and all this stuff, and I'm just like, go, just go save people, go save people's lives. Like that's what you should do. I'm like, this is so annoying. Like, why are you like? And I get people do all kinds of things and they have PR or whatever, but I'm just like we read X-Men and people hate those guys. And it's just like, go, just go and do the right thing. Like, I don't want to hear about your PR struggles. And then there was one comic where they're fighting Doctor Doom, and it was like the Mighty Avengers, and they had a lot of word bubbles, and I didn't really like the book. I didn't like the flow of it, and I didn't like all the word bubbles. I didn't need to know what everyone on the team was always thinking. But Doctor Doom called her a cow, and she seemed like really upset by it. And I'm like, bro, look at your body. You're obviously not fat, and he's Doctor Doom. Like he's just rude. He's a bad guy. Why are you upset? That you're Captain Marvel, you know, saved the world a few times, I'm sure. And you're fighting an evil dictator person, and your feelings are hurt because he called you a cow. Just I can't take the insecurity, I guess. So the overcompensating, yeah, so I haven't really read comics in a while because I haven't liked where they've gone. So um she has since then become actually Captain Marvel, not Miss Marvel anymore. And it's been that way for a long time. But I've never been a fan of the character. But even so, I'm like, I wouldn't have casted Brie Larson. And but I gave the movie a chance. I saw the movie, and I didn't dislike it as much as like a lot of other comic fans disliked it. Though they the actual Captain Marvel, they like gender swapped them and really belittled his story and stuff. It's what they did with that character was pretty disrespectful to that character, just to kind of elevate her and get her to that point and stuff. And there were other characters like Monica Rambeau who, they didn't do well with their stories and stuff. Um that people weren't fond of, and so people who were fans had actual like complaints. But actually watching the film, I thought the film was overall right. However, I did not feel that Brie Larson really had star power quality to really carry the film. And I just thought there was something a bit lacking, and I can't put my finger on it. There was just not quite the magnetism I think that you need to really carry the film. And people may disagree with me, but does she have a solo film, or did they stick to other Marvels in her film? They stuck to other Marvels in her film. It's the Marvels in the next film. It's not a Captain Marvel 2. So she got a bit of a downgrade. So now she has to share her movie, which they bring in a lot of cameos in people's movies and have sidekicks or whatever. Like, I mean, Captain America 2 is very much or Captain America 3 was Civil War. So I mean, it was basically like an Avengers crossover event book, basically, in the Captain America movie. But he was still like, driving the film, and and same in like Winter Soldier or whatever. So um she's been downgraded. I don't know what the film will be like. But Miss Marvel's in there, and then they also have Monica Rambeau, who was a Captain Marvel, or before she was a Captain Marvel. But anyway, speaking with Rolling Stone's Marlo Stern, Jackson was asked, "You're going to be in the Marvels with Brie Larson, and you two are good pals. She got so much hate for playing Captain Marvel from the more sexist side of Marvel's fan base. What was it like to see her go through that?" First, Jackson relayed how the two actors bonded. Brie's a stronger person than people give her credit for. We had done Kong together, which was not the most wonderful experience for either of us. We became great friends during that particular experience because we were having such a hard time. Then, when she was doing her movie Unicorn Store and trying to get a particular actor, I was in the makeup trailer with her and was like, "Why are you trying to hire this other actor and not trying to get me to do your movie. And she said, I didn't think you'd ever do it. So will you? And I was like, let's do it. And Jackson then detailed they continued to bond when the election of President Donald Trump broke her. He relayed, then we bonded through the election while we were doing her movie. When Donald Trump won, she was broken. I was like, don't let him break you. You have to be strong now. Then when she got Captain Marvel, she called me and was like, "They want me in the Marvel universe. Should I do it?" And I was like, "Heck yeah, let's do it." But she's not going to let any of that stuff destroy her, he continued. Jackson then derided Larson's critics, these incel dudes who hate strong women, or the fact that she's a feminist who has an opinion and expressed it. Everybody wants people to be who they want them to be. She is who she is, and she's genuinely that. Larson became infamous following her Crystal Award acceptance speech when she derided white male film critics. She said during the speech, I don't need a 40-year-old white dude to tell me what didn't work for him about A Wrinkle in Time. It wasn't made for him. I want to know what that film meant for women in color to be biracial, to biracial women, to teen women of color, to teens that are biracial. And for the third time, I don't hate white dudes, she said. These are just facts. These are not my feelings. Larson went on to advocate for inclusion writers in film uh, contracts. Uh, so she's a she voices her opinion. So she's free to do that, but people are free to also voice their opinion about her. So people might not personally like her and still really like her in the role, but I you know, I guess I don't really have a dislike of her so much. I mean, some of these things sound annoying. I'm just like, yeah, I can see why people find her so unlikable, but I don't have like strong feelings against her. I just really wouldn't, even if I dislike the character Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, she still wouldn't have been my pick for the role. She wouldn't have been my pick for the role. And so people blaming like the toxic fandoms in the men and this and for sexism or whatever for not liking her film. I don't think that's fair. People try to do that all the time, and I think it's ridiculous. Men like strong female characters. There's a TV show, Suits, that was on USA for a while, and YouTube, uh it's on Peacock now, if you wanna go watch it, but, and maybe it's still on Amazon Prime, I don't know, but, I think that's when I started to watch it. I didn't watch it live, like, when it premiered, I just binge watched it when it was all over, and, but a lot of, clips are on YouTube now, so I was going back and watching clips, and I'm looking at comments, and people talk about Jessica Pearson, and she was the boss for most of the show over the law firm, and Gina Torres played her. And Gina Torres, I first saw Gina Torres on Hercules. And she played a strong woman on Hercules, and then she was on a show, Cleopatra, was it Cleopatra 2025, in the year 2525. The theme song was awful, but I know every word, I'm pretty sure. It didn't last long though. And she was on Angel for a while. She played Jasmine. And she's just always played a really great strong female lead character, and Jessica Pearson is just like a masterclass in, like, she was feminine, but she was so strong, and she was not a girl boss, but she was just the boss. And so I mean, and that's not like sci-fi or anything related, but I just thought she was just such a great example of how to do a really, really great female lead, as opposed to like, people might get mad if they really like Suits. But Donna, she's just like, I'm the Donna. I do everything right and correct. And it was fine at first, but then she like was like, I deserve to be the COO of the law firm, even though she was a legal secretary. And so the people talked about like, okay, this is where the show's kind of like jumping the shark for me. But but Jessica was so well done, and you can definitely have female characters that are progressing and being done right. And other folks that aren't, doing great. So, um, I didn't think there were some scenes in Captain Marvel that they cut out that were like really feminist. Um, like I think there was a scene where they cut out where a biker or whatever asked her to smile or something, and so I'm glad they cut that out. But I didn't feel like it was too like feminist overtones or something like that. I thought it was fine, but I thought the how they actually treated some of the actual characters I didn't like. The overall story though, if this didn't exist and it didn't come from a source and we didn't know the characters, was fine. Other than I thought Brie Larson kind of lacked in it. Um but I can if you're into the comics and you understand how important Captain Marvel is, or you're like, why did they butcher my boy? So people have good reasons to not care for the film, and you can't just blame it all on sexism and not liking strong women. Did we not watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer? Did we not like, Aliens? Did we not like all sorts of cinema? I went through this with a Jennifer Lawrence, and she said she was like the first female action star, and I just started listing like women in lead movies, and I don't think I did TV. I think I just did movies like like every like major one until like the Hunger Games came out. It's like you weren't like, what world are you living in? There's so many other great female leads who paved the way. So people just pretending like we suddenly just don't like strong women. Forget you. Like people would jump at the chance to see like another like Underworld. I think well maybe people audience kind of always drops off, but that was people like Celine. People love Celine. My gosh. So, so you can't just blame it on sexism, whatever. It's not that we don't like a strong woman. And it's not that people don't like a strong woman with a strong opinion. Plenty of women like women with good opinions. It's just like you have to have a good opinion though. And plenty of people agree with Brie Larson and they'll stand up for Brie Larson and they'll like Brie Larson. But if you're someone who disagrees with Brie Larson and you find her politics annoying, it's definitely going to bleed through. So if she wants to be vocal about those things, people are going to be vocal about how they don't like her ideas. And that's something that Marvel and everyone's just going to have to get over and used to it. But they like the idea of bashing their audience continuously and continuously. I'm not saying there's not toxic fans. There's always been toxic fans, who bully and whatever, but they'll call someone a toxic fan when they have like valid criticism. They may be very passionate about their valid criticism, but just because you have criticism doesn't make you toxic. And even if you're very adamant about it, it doesn't make you toxic. And Henry Cavill, there's a great clip of him. He was asked in an interview about toxic fandom, and he's like, I get what you're saying, but where you might see like toxic fandom, I just see passion. And he knows that because he himself is a fan of the stuff that he actually works on. So he doesn't throw people under the bus. I wonder how much people not wanting, Henry not getting rehired for stuff is really about him not being able to play ball with folks and their ideology with different stuff. I don't know. But Henry Cavill just makes too much sense for this world. um Samuel L. Jackson outing Brie Larson as nearly being broken by Trump is, there's a lot of people obviously very upset in 2016. I watched the montages of people crying consistently. They're very humorous. But outing her as being nearly broken or whatever, I don't think he's doing her any favors by ranting about this and pulling more politics into it or letting her politics kind of be known. I mean, people know, but it doesn't make her any more likable. Maybe it makes her more relatable to the normies or whatever who like their stuff. But I don't. So a lot of these people that they're really appealing to at the same time, I don't think were ever truly their base. They may look at stuff casually, but the more that they tick off like hardcore people, like my family, we're hardcore Marvel fans. We used to go to the theaters on opening night with our church and other like family or whatever. It was an event. It was like, hey, you got the tickets, etc. But we'd be at the theater at 8 p.m., 7 p.m., whenever anything came out that was like comic book related or a lot of sci-fi related stuff, but definitely like Marvel. And we go and we'd enjoy it for a while. This was probably not a great thing, but our Facebook page on our church was a picture of like the church at the movies. We were all like wearing comic book shirts and stuff. And someone we it's not the same anymore. It was changed. They're like, we should probably change that to something that actually has to do with the church. So anyway, we're a bunch of big nerds. But I strongly feel and Marvel and Disney has made me to feel that I'm deeply resented by this company. They don't appreciate me. They don't appreciate my values and my morals. And they don't appreciate the fact that my money, or maybe they do appreciate the fact that my money or my family's money contributed to their wealth and their status and their power. But maybe they're just kind of laughing about it, and now maybe I don't know. Maybe they take comfort and upsetting me and upsetting the people around me. And and when you listen to some of these writers like on She-Hulk and stuff, they like pre-plan to aggravate the trolls. I'm like, you could plan to just make good content. That could be like part of your strategy. But it's not. Just making content is part of their strategy. And if it fails, they can blame sexism or racism or whatever and say, you guys just don't like strong women. No, we like strong women. How many people like in the Marvel space don't like Black Widow? Like maybe people didn't care for her movie too much, um but they still like the character Black Widow. And another failure with Captain Marvel, and I saw a video on TikTok the other day. They were talking about failed. There's no face of the Marvel universe right now, and not for lack of trying. Like they wanted Captain Marvel to be like the new face, the new hero of you know the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but they didn't actually have like a good intro to her to kind of woo the hearts of people who had been watching it for 10 plus years already, kind of pretty much around that point of time. And so they made her movie like right before Endgame, so it had a big boost from people wanting to watch it because it was right before Endgame. And her movie was okay. A lot of fans like hated it. Some people thought it was fine, some people really liked it. I thought it was okay, but obviously they did butcher some stuff in the comics from the comics. And so when I saw a trailer for Endgame and Thor had grabbed his hammer and she didn't move, and you saw a little smirk, I'm like, oh, because they're obviously shoehorning her in because they wanted her to take the lead in the future. And I'm like, oh, maybe she's gonna have some good chemistry with Thor or something, and there's gonna be kind of a bromance thing. And this looks like this could maybe be cool. Like maybe there's some like I'm like, this looks like it might be going in good direction. She was just there at the beginning of the film and there at the end of the film, and that was it. They really focus on their core central folks. I'm not saying that they shouldn't have done that, but I would rather her have not have been in the film, just to be frank. Like instead of her big moments at the end when she was like killing, different making big moves, I'm like, you could have had Thor do that because Thor like had a rough film. So if you took out Captain Marvel stuff and just maybe had Thor give him a comeback or something, that would have been better for me. Um, so I don't really feel like they handled her intro very well. So now she's at the point where she had an interview and they're like, "How long are you play Captain Marvel?" She's like, "I don't know. Do people want me to do it?" And they're like, "Ah, you're so humble." And she's like, "I'm not." Like, do people want me to do it? I'm like, she's triggered. You can't let them see you sweat. You can't let them see you sweat. So, um, someone said projecting their worldview seems to be one of their priorities. Absolutely. Um, absolutely. So, I don't think Sam Jackson, he wanted to stick up for his friend, and I can respect that. But He didn't need to be like, "Oh, Trump nearly broke her," and get into this political thing and then start dissing your fans. Like, respect your fans. Studios used to have like a handle on their actors, like maybe they were, I don't know, drinking and boozing and doing all the stuff like behind the scenes, but they would try to like clean it up and be like, dude, you gotta be smarter than this, or like you gotta get good press, you gotta have this family image or whatever. Like old Hollywood, like there's a lot of like drama and things behind the scenes or whatever, but to have it like your actors kind of trashing the customers, I don't think that the executives of old would have like allowed this to happen. Now, of course, there's like so much more media, so I don't know how much they could have really controlled, but it just kind of seems like Disney is totally okay with them going out and trashing their fandoms, and they're okay with the media doing it, excess media trashing the fans, like the Little Mermaid. They're like, oh, it's not doing well overseas because everyone's racist, and it's like, no, people have legitimate reasons, for not wanting to run out and see the Little Mermaid. First of all, there's mermaid stories all over. Like the Little Mermaid isn't the only one, and Ariel isn't the only version. And if you have your version of the Little Mermaid and you change it, then people are like, "That's well, okay. Well, now it's not even like how I liked it before. Not quite. You're changing really big things. So why should I rush out and see it?" You can't lure people in with nostalgia and then say screw your nostalgia. It doesn't work like that. Or you can try to make it work like that, but it doesn't. But if it fails, you can't say, "Oh, it's because everybody's racist," while they go and watch the Spider-Man film, which has a black lead and, a black half Hispanic lead, and they're watching, Fast 10, which has a lot of diversity in it. So, it sounds like it's a you problem, Disney. It sounds like it's a you problem. So, they can learn to take accountability for their stuff, but it seems like they really don't want to. Um, So, if I was Samuel L. Jackson, and this question was loaded, by the way. I mean, they're like, "Oh, how she deal with the toxic fandom, et cetera, blah blah blah." And so they led them down that path of opening up, talking about the fans, but they could have been like, she's a great at what she does, and there's a lot of people who really love her, and I love her. I'm a fan of her, so I'm always looking forward to working with Brie Larson. Like the answer could have been something like that, you know, or talking about the fans. He could have went the Henry Cavill route. Henry Cavill is just so classy. Um, especially dealing with these questions and stuff about the fans. But he is a fan. He appreciates and loves the work. A lot of these other people, really don't appreciate their customer. They really don't appreciate their customer. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. There is some stories about a whistleblower talking about Hunter Biden and some of the deals that they made, and apparently the IRS did want to charge him with felony with his tax crimes, and um there's uh other stuff going on with revelations within the Hunter Biden Joe sphere, about Biden's knowledge of the different deals that they are being made. But this is kind of breaking stuff, and I want to go through it before I really talked about it. So we'll touch on that tomorrow. But thank you guys for watching, and please go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on my website, articles, videos, etc. Please check out different merchandise that we have at the store. And also, if you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation at blacktnews.com. Cost to stream on my website, all the good stuff. And we'll have one more day, and then things should be back to normal as far as me streaming on my main YouTube channel. So thank you guys for watching me on my backup, and people continue to watch me on Facebook and stuff. Though Facebook has been throttling me too, but we'll keep chugging along. Make sure you drop in your email at the website and follow me across like Rumble and Instagram and TikTok and all those places. So God bless you. See you tomorrow.